back. The chair now recognizes Mr. Westerman for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the witnesses. Mr. Soskin, at the end of the 116th Congress, Congress authorized a Maritime Transportation System Emergency Relief Program, but the administration has not requested any funds for this program. The U.S. maritime industry estimates it needs $3.5 billion in emergency relief as a result of unanticipated COVID costs and has requested those funds be provided under the MTS Emergency Relief Program. Are you monitoring the maritime industry's resources?
Mr. Westerman, I'm not actually familiar with the maritime industry funding issue that you've identified. I'd be happy to consult with my staff and we can follow up with you on a question on your question about that area.
Okay, thank you. I would appreciate that. Mr. Soskin, in March, Administrator Fenton, in talking about testing on the border, he said that testing is happening, COVID testing, and that there's less than 6% positive rate on the border. Are you aware if this testing is still happening and if those testing rates have increased, those positive rates?
I'm not familiar with that issue, but I think DHS Assistant IG Izzard might have more awareness about testing on the border.
Yeah, I was going to ask him that question as well. Mr. Izzard, do you have any information on that?
I do know that we have ongoing projects. And as I stated earlier, our Inspector General recently made personal visits to the border, which has resulted in some of the projects. I don't know specifically the answer to that question, but I will make sure that we get your response directly.
Thank you, sir. I was on the border last weekend down in the Rio Grande Valley, and I saw reports on Monday that there were 671 additional COVID positive tests in Hidalgo County, and I've seen reports that say the COVID infection rate is up 900% along the border. One thing that I took back from the trip to the border with, along with many what I would call crisis areas, was on the flight back out of McAllen. I noticed in the airport there were several passengers that were holding manila envelopes that on one side it was printed that said, please, I think it's something like, please help me, I do not speak or read English, please help me get on the right airplane. And then on the other side of the envelopes it would have flights outlined on it, departing airports, arriving airports, and the times on that. Mr. Izzard, can you confirm if those were migrants or was that just a group of people carrying envelopes through the airport?
Sir, I can't confirm. I really don't know. I'm sorry. I just don't know the answer to that.
So you don't know if DHS is putting migrants on commercial airlines and shipping them around the country?
Well, I do know that we have an open audit at this point that looks at that specific area. It's ongoing, so I can't speak to the findings of that at this point, but certainly look forward to providing that at the point in which the audit is finalized. We do have an audit work in that direction always.
So if you don't know if commercial airlines are being used to move migrants around the country, you also wouldn't know if those migrants are being tested for COVID or being vaccinated before being moved around the country.
I don't know the answer to that. Perhaps that's something that our project may look into, but I will make sure to take note of that to take that back for consideration for our staff.
Yeah, I would appreciate that if you could look at that sooner than later and get an answer back on that issue. And Madam Chair, I yield back.